Damn, Ingenious made the beat. Yo, welcome to another episode of the Coach Life Podcast Radio. I'm, of course, your host, the Prince of Positivity, Coach Steve, joined with me. Up, I'm a little light today, as you can see. But I did not forget a guest. I definitely did not forget a guest. This was definitely a special one for me, partly because this is my old head coach. This is the guy that got Coach Steve foot in the door to actually start coaching football. I'm not gonna waste no time because I definitely want to jump on this pod and start talking about this. But without further ado, the great Coach Anthony Griffin. How we doing, Coach?
I appreciate that introduction, man. I'm doing well. Definitely doing all right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Again, I appreciate you taking the time out to meet with me and have this conversation. Long overdue,
Yeah.
very long overdue.
Yeah.
Um, Before we get started with everything, I just want to take a quick second because I want to put this on record. I want to take a second to say thank you because I want you to understand the impact that you made on me as a player, as a coach, I should say. You changed my perspective on coaching. You gave me a different outlook on coaching. You obviously, we'll get into this in the pod, but you obviously know we didn't have the best record in the world. We didn't have
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
best
No
record in the
doubt.
world.
No
But
doubt.
the impact that you gave not only to myself, but the other coaches that coached with us, the players that I still speak with today is monumental. I cannot tell you how much it has helped move me in a different direction and and actually get me to focus on being a people coach and not a X and O coach. Right? Like I learned how to put the people coach first. And it was because of the time that I got a chance to coach with you. So I wanted to take a quick second to put that on record. Thank you so much for everything you've done to help me get my coaching, my area of expertise going.
You're welcome, man. And that's what it was all about for me. Like, obviously, everybody wanted to win and win games and all that, but I always wanted to create an environment where kind of like I want somebody to coach my sons and my kids, and teach them something other than the wins and losses, right? Because it's
Hmm.
more than that. It's about knowing how to be a good person, a good citizen, organization, kind of putting what the main thing is the main thing in this football thing, which I love, love the game for sure and appreciate because it's done a lot for me in my life, which we'll probably get into later on. But, uh, making the main thing and using football as that tool to get you where you want to be, and for me, spreading whatever knowledge I had over the years. I mean, you kind of talked about this too. I made a lot of mistakes for sure, but learn from those mistakes and spreading that knowledge to young coaches so they don't make some mistakes that I made.
Hmm.
And also, as they grow through this game, that they learn and know how to pass that on to the next person, man. And like, I don't ask anything from anybody, but be good to kids. Make sure you teach them the right way. And treat them like their family because that's what we are. In that football field, we coach these kids, we're family.
100.
And I don't want anybody disrespecting and hurting my family in any way. When I hire coaches and talk to you all, man, it's about treating people the right way. And I'm gonna treat you guys the right way, the same way. So
Cool. And again, 100. I can tell you that I can tell you so many stories about Coach Griff, about the adversity, the constant positivity, even when it was rain, hellfire, and brimstone, the
yeah,
constant positivity that was there. Before we get into all of that, I want people to know who Coach Griffin is. outside of football? Because of course we can talk football all day. Most of this pod probably most
No
football
doubt.
anyway. But for those who don't know Coach Griff, I got a quick little icebreaker that I'm gonna throw at you. And this is our little fast five. I'm gonna throw five questions at you. Give me your best answer. Don't have to be elaborate unless you want to elaborate on it, but just your little quick answer right now. If we were not coaching, if we were not in football, if football was not the path, where would we be today?
Uh, Working in schools in some type of capacity with kids, uh, yeah, I've always enjoyed like helping kids out and helping them realize their goals and passions and dreams. Like I didn't realize all that until later on in life, but it hit me that that's kind of my purpose, right, in life. So
Mhm.
helping kids in some type of capacity, whether right now I'm a high school counselor, so it's all full circle where I ended up in this profession. But something like that. I always, when I first started, I thought I wanted to be a brain surgeon or heart surgeon. But I learned quick that that ain't quite what my expertise is. You know what I'm saying? I,
Well,
wasn't the best
pivot.
academic in the world, so I thought that was going to be my path for a while. Then I thought I was going to be an accountant and all that. And, going to a Catholic high school, which we'll get into, surrounded by a bunch of first responders and cops and firemen and all those things. But yeah, man, I think definitely working with kids in some type of capacity.
Travel. What is the best state we've gone to?
The best
Or
state I've gone to,
let's say best vacation spot you've gone to.
Jamaica. Me and my wife been in Montego Bay. So we had a great time down in Jamaica a couple times. Uh, yes, I want to say that's the best spot I've been to as far as states, United States, Louisiana, New Orleans. The food is outstanding. So definitely a great spot within the states I've been to. So those two on top of the list.
So now you feed to my next question. Are we talking food right now? We had a lot of good pre-game meals. I will say that. We had a decent
Okay,
amount of good pre-game meals. Some of the moms came out and showed out for us a couple times.
no doubt.
What is the best pre-game meal for you?
Best pregame meal for me uh, as a player,
Both. Let's say a player
as a
and
player
as
or
a coach.
coach.
Yep. Let's
Okay,
see both.
so I mean, I'm traditional, man. Good bacon and eggs is good for me, uh, as a player in moderation because you don't want to get too full, right?
Hmm.
But either way, player, coach, bacon and eggs, for sure. Uh, a good post game meal. I don't know, it's whatever's available because usually the game's in late, so
True.
I didn't really get a chance to eat much. But playing college football, they would just give us those little sacks on the bus, and we get like sandwiches or whatever, cold cuts and all that, and couldn't really afford to eat anything after that. I
I
played
feel
in
you.
this post NIL era, so I didn't we didn't get
So
the
you ain't
checks
getting no,
where I can
you ain't
right.
getting no money.
I couldn't go to McDonald's and whatever Burger King or taco spot to get food after the game. We went home and what was it? Whatever was in the fridge, that's
That's
what
what
we
it
ate.
was.
So yeah, but definitely traditional, man. Traditional breakfast in the morning, get some energy in my body. Maybe some pancakes, something like that. Uh, but afterwards is whatever was available.
I feel you. Mine was
Yeah.
burritos. We had to go to taco spot after most of our games.
Okay.
We
Yeah, I
dip
know
out.
most because usually those are the ones that's open the latest.
That's that's the go-to. You gotta get a
Yeah,
burrito. You find a
yeah.
El Burrito and go get a burrito.
I mean, unless you want to put the McDonald's or Burger King in your body, but yeah, the burrito spots are usually always open.
Yeah, yeah, we'll pass.
Yeah.
We'll pass on the Mickey D's, yo.
Right, right, right.
You got the aux cord. You got the aux cord. What are we playing in the locker room right now?
Oh man, I'm an old school hip hop head, so I'm all about like some of the root stuff.
Hmm.
Definitely some of the PG versions. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to expose the kids to some of the deep stuff, but uh, I'm a Tribe Called Quest guy, so
Yes,
like
sir.
Butter and stuff like that. So I'm an old school guy, but anything to get the kids going, man. Like that's within reason, of course. Uh,
It's got to make sense.
yeah, I'm again, I'm one of open-minded coaches, man. So whatever it is that get the kids going, I'm all for it. As long as it's that radio version, we
Right,
good.
right. Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
focused, get focused.
Get focused. There you go.
Three people that have inspired you and why.
Wow. Uh, I will first is my aunt Christine Griffin. Um, she raised me basically. She was just a tough woman, hardworking, wouldn't allow me to no excuses, you know. So she definitely is one of the top people that inspired me. I would say my dad is another person. Just sit and watch him with the grind he had that he went through. A young guy who moved from Mississippi to Chicago, navigating older sibling out of all the siblings, uh, and to watch him grow in the things he did, uh, to make sure to provide for me and to make sure I was in a good spot. Even though I didn't live with him for the longest time, so there was times where I stayed with him, um, but he made sure I was taken care of, right? And just see his work ethic was off the chain, man. He'd be up at 5 in the morning, sit at the table, smoking his Cool King cigarette, drinking his cup of coffee or tea, and he'd be gone and go to work, get his work in, come back late at night, and just do that whole routine. I learned how to build routine and work ethic from my dad, right? Um, and then as far as a third person, definitely my mom's and all that, but just some of the coaches that was in my life too. You know, one of them was my running back coach in Northern Illinois, Todd Schonar, rest in peace. Uh, Passed away during COVID, but he was definitely an inspiration, man. He knew how to talk to us and inspire us and
Mhm.
get the best out of us. I had another running back coach before that, but Coach Show, man, was outstanding and kind of led me to want to get into coaching. So I didn't know I wanted to be a coach at the time, but when I did get into coaching, I used his philosophy, the things that he did and how he interacted with us.
What
So
was
I
his
went
main
from
philosophy?
just it was a brotherhood in our running back room. Like we just joked and laughed and had a good time, but he was heartless at the same time. Like he demanded excellence, right?
Hmm.
And I've used this philosophy with taught you all this, being positively demanding, and that's what he was, man. And he can joke around with us. He played at Clemson back in the day too. He was a holder at Clemson. He was a backup quarterback, but
Hmm.
he mostly held the ball from what he told us, right? So for him to go from that position, even playing at Clemson was outstanding. But being a holder to running back coach and having the coaching career that he had was definitely inspirational, man. So he was just a great guy to be around. Invited us over to his house for dinner. Met his wife and all that stuff. He brought us in, man, and made us feel like we belonged in that room. From the guy who was last on the roster spot to the top running backs in the room, like he treated us all the same way. That was awesome.
Coach, what do you remember most about your time playing high school football? Like, what's like the most memorable thing that's like the standout thing for you?
Man. So I went to St. Pat's High School in Northwest side of Chicago.
I'm not gonna boo that, by the
I
way.
know, I know, but we're all Christian brothers, though, right? It's
You're
all
right,
Christian brothers,
100%,
100%
100%.
Christian brothers.
Yes, sir.
So Coach Steve went to St. Joe's High School,
Yes,
kind of a
sir.
rival, East Suburban Catholic Conference rivals and all that. So it's all good. But some of the memories, man, is just starting off freshman year uh, with a lot of guys I knew because I played middle school ball with them, eighth
Hmm.
grade ball in Portage Park on the northwest side, up on Bertone and Overton Park. But then having some new guys come in who you didn't know, but then going through some of those traditional things that we had to go through, because back then, there was a lot of kids coming out of football. Like,
Hmm.
wasn't this whole stigma going around about injuries and all those things? Like people just put their kids out there to play. So we had, I don't know, maybe 80 kids come out for football back then.
Hmm.
So it's a ton of freshmen out there, and we would have to run a mile to practice, not uphill. Then when we get there, we were conditioned. before practice. And then we practice. Then we have to walk back to school. So that work ethic kind of stuck with me too,
Different.
right? Like, you're right, it was different. You have to be mentally tough to get through that, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, and even if you was one of the top guys who they want you to be at that to make it, to make it happen. So and being a top guy, well, considered a top guy, uh, you kind of want to step out and make sure you wasn't, lacking behind and be in the back of the line. Like I had to get there, one of the first ones to get there. Uh, but then my teammates too, man. Like there's some guys I still talk to this day. Not all of them, but still some guys I talk to this day that we still have a friendship and a bond with. Um, and another thing, like I said, being in the East Suburban Catholic League, man, some of those rivalries, you know,
Crazy.
well, big time
Crazy.
that we had, our big time rival back then was Joliet Catholic, so those rivalry games was huge, man. And we would have things like freshman, sophomore level, and varsity level. If
Hmm.
we swept them, we'll put brooms by the gym, like little bitty brooms, like we swept this team that week. So that was like the goal we had
Yep.
to sweep across the board. So it made now that made winning important, but it was like a traditional thing. Like we just wanted to try to be excellent. You know what I'm saying? And it all started from freshman year, going through that grind and running the practice, to just wanting to be a part of that tradition, that St. Pat Shamrock tradition.
Speaking of that Saint Pat Shamrock tradition, Coach Griffin is in the Hall of Fame at St. Pat's.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not an easy
Yeah,
feat.
that's a great honor.
That's a massively great honor. So definitely shout out to you for making it to the Hall of Fame. What was that feeling like once
Yeah.
you got the phone call or however they told you? Like, what was that feeling?
I mean, it was cool, man. It was beyond cool. Uh, definitely a great honor to be known as, one of the best in the school to get that honor from, people who you looked up to, you know. To get that call telling me that, I got this was awesome, man, because there's a lot of great players before me who I strive to be like, and not disappoint. Uh, and I can remember that night, man, just thanking my teammates. Because again, it wasn't all about me, it was about the guys who helped me get to that point, you know. So when I first started playing ball, too, like I'm going off a little tangent here, but I first started playing ball. I was playing again. I played at Portage Park. I was defense lineman, double striper. Well, let me go back a little bit more. I started at Oak Park playing ball in seventh grade, and they made me wear garbage bags. I was too big. I was too big to even be a lineman back then, so I had to lose this weight, and I couldn't lose the weight, so I ended up not playing my seventh grade year. And I get to eighth grade, I play at Portage Park, and I'm a defense lineman, double striper. They put these X's on your helmet with the tape
Hmm.
to show you can't, run with the ball and all that.
Right.
Uh, and I get to high school, I'm a defensive lineman, starting off. And then one year I'm like, man, I'm tired of just putting my hand in the ground stuff. I want to run the ball. Like I'm 5'10". Ain't nobody gonna look at no 5'10", 180-pound defensive lineman. Like I don't see myself growing. Um, so again, I talked to my teammates, man. Like, what do I do? There's one particular guy named Anthony DeVito. He was a running back, and we played ball at Portage Park together. I'm like, man, DeVito, I want to switch positions, and he gave me some advice. And when I moved on to play that position, he was like, Griff, man, you're thinking too much. Just play ball. Be the ball player you are, and go after and get it. And that advice made me calm down, man. And everything's history from there. And to make it to the Hall of Fame in St. Pat's, I credit some of that to that advice DeVito gave me. you know, uh, just calm down and have fun. I just had fun out there playing with my teammates, man. So, like I said, when I gave that speech to thank them for that honor, I thank my teammates because a lot of them had a lot to do with that. You know what I'm saying? Even my family members, so all that was like, full circle, just giving back to people who poured in. Uh, so that honor was for all of us, really. You know, it's kind of my mindset with it. I put the work in for sure, no doubt.
Yep.
I had to do the sweating and the bleeding and all that, but uh, definitely all the people important to me helped me get to that place.
That's why, again, I want to kind of keep going back to this and reiterating every time we talk about a particular area of your life, um, whether it be personal or professional, or it's always given back. It's always said with so much humbleness. And that's, again, I cannot tell, I don't think I can put it into words how humble you were on the football field as a coach. Where where do you feel like you pulled a lot of that from? Where do you feel like you've gotten like that version of Coach Griff?
I think just my upbringing, man, bouncing around from place to place. Like I don't even know if you all know all this background story about me, and I don't want to get too personal, but uh, you
Show
know, uh,
world, coach. This your
hey,
pod.
I appreciate that. But like I said, my mom and dad were together. I was born and raised in Chicago on the west side of Chicago. Um, and at 4 years old, they split up. So I ended up moving to Waukegan. For a little while, my mom and just kind of bouncing around from household to household, family member to family member, and all that stuff. And just through that, learning how to build relationships. Because I had to bounce around from place to place and learn how to meet and integrate to these new different places and systems, right? And you can't do that going in being a tough guy,
Right,
and
exactly.
being mean and like, all right, this is my space, no, you had to have a little humbleness because some of those people were there before you. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of sat back and learned from them, and just living with different family members and cousins and all that. Cousins could be tough on you. You know what I'm saying? Growing up
True.
with cousins who became like my brothers eventually. So I would say just the upbringing, man, going through some of those trials and tribulations, learning how to be humble in different spaces, but competitive at the same time,
Hmm.
too, right? Like you can still be humble and be a dog competitor at the same time. So I always want to be the best as well, So I hope people got that out of me also. Like I want to be. It wasn't necessarily about the wins losses, about learning these lessons within the game. But I wanted to be the best at what I was doing at any given moment all the time, right?
Right.
Uh, but I think getting that from certain family members, man, just people would say too, like if you ask my family members, they will all be shocked that I became a coach because I'm the introvert in the family. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't do all the talking and all that. Like I was always behind the scenes. I had an older cousin, Marcus Griffin, who played football at Oak Park River Forest High School, was a beast. Like he
Hmm.
was a talker. He's a cousin who's like my brother, who I grew up with. Uh, so I would be in his shadow, you know. So that part of that humbleness came from just being in his shadow, watching him do what he did, right? And
Hmm.
also wanting to be better than him at the same time when it was my turn, you know. But I kind of sat back and just waited my turn for that. But yeah, my family, man, I'm like the introvert in the family, so people were shocked that I'm doing, even though doing this podcast right now, speaking. Like people will go like, "Man, Anthony Griff is doing this," So because the whole public speaking thing has never really been my jam, my thing,
Feel
but
you.
it is what it is, man. So uh, just for people to even want to hear what I have to say sometime, man, I get humbled because of that. You know what I'm saying? Just to hear my story. And all things, man. So, it came from all that, man. That whole background of where I was raised and how I was raised and the people in my life who raised me and just, sometimes you just gotta sit back and listen too, man. Like listen is a power that people don't use
Man.
enough.
Can you say that
You
again
know,
for the people in the back that didn't
listen
hear
is
you?
a listen is a power that people don't use enough. A lot of people just want to talk about it all the time. Well, you gotta listen too. That's the most powerful thing you can do is listen to somebody. You learn so much on how to treat people by just listening to them, right? And not always trying to interject your life, into
Hmm.
theirs, right? But when they ask for it, yeah, I got a story for it. I can tell you how to be humble and how you grew up and living in some abandoned buildings, which I did at some point in time in my life. Uh, you know, uh, having to walk to the grocery store for my moms who didn't have much money. Uh, she would give me money to catch a cab back, but I'd be like, no, man, I'm gonna walk home and carry these 15 bags that's cutting my hands. You know what I'm saying? Just
Hmm.
to make sure my mom get this change back in her pocket because we're gonna need that for something else. You know, but just listening and observing certain things, man. Listen and observe, man. That's definitely some stuff that people need to do, continue to do more of. You know, yeah. So that's how I got all that.
I love that we go back to purpose and go back to stepping up into your purpose. When you finish high school football, I know this obviously coaching with you. Where do we go next after high school football?
So I get the opportunity. Let me backtrack to high school a little bit first. So I played again, St. Pat's and all that, and we had a bunch of guys who were like role models to me, right? So I got the opportunity to wear number 44 at St. Pat's, which is kind of a huge number. It's kind of a huge football number to begin with, period, right? But there was a
Hmm.
guy ahead of me named Bill Freeney or William Freeney, who was one of the best players. He actually went to St. Joe's for a year too, but he
Yes, he
ended up
did.
playing for the St. Pat's.
Yes, he did.
Uh, and Freeney was a beast player, man, like a beast. And then the guy after him was Jason Martin, another linebacker. And I ended up playing running back and linebacker. So I was following those guys' footsteps, right? So Bill went to Northern University of Northern Iowa. And Freeney went to Northern Iowa. And they had that pipeline at St. Pat. So Coach Terry Allen came and recruited me to go to Northern Iowa. So I accepted that. I was getting recruited by a couple more places, but Northern Iowa at the time, and still is kind of, man, was a powerhouse in one AA football back then. In that Gateway Conference, winning all
Hmm.
types of conference championships, being ranked in the top five every year. So I was like, man, what other place to be than Cedar Falls, Iowa, going to play in that Unidome? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it was outstanding to get to the opportunity. Then I'm going there with a former teammate, somebody I can talk to when teams got tough, when times got tough. Uh, See, I went to the University of Northern Iowa, and of course, being there, I played ball with a bunch of great players, man, like a lot of great dudes. And obviously, the most notable one is Kurt Warner. And Kurt
Hmm.
probably would remember me if I walked in front of him right now and slapped him in the face. You know, but obviously, he's NFL Hall of Fame quarterback. Uh, so I had the opportunity to play ball with him and be in the huddle with him, man, doing spring ball and all that was awesome. We all knew who he was. I don't even know. We knew who he was before he knew who he was. You know what I'm saying? Like we knew he was
So
that guy.
you saw it day one when you guys were in the huddle with him. Like you
We
knew that
all
this
saw him.
was
Yeah, he was that man. Just the way he conducted himself in the huddle, the way he took accountability for things, even mistakes that we made, he would take accountability for that and be like, "No, coach, that's my fault." So stuff like that, man. We knew he was destined to be great then, and I know he has his own story, things that happened to him to get to where he was at, but man, it was an honor. I mean, to this day, to be able to say that I was teammates with somebody as great as that, you know,
right.
and a lot of other guys too on that team, man. That the guy Tim Mosley was a wide receiver that was a beast. Kenny Shedd, who played in the NFL for a while. Dedrick Ward, like, I can go on and on. The guys that went on and made it from that program, man, that were awesome guys to be around. I learned a lot, how to be a football player. Uh,
Hmm.
'Cause I'm coming in. We go back to that favorite meal and all that. I'm just eating everything, Coach Steve. Like I'm eating
Didn't
candy. I'm
matter.
drinking. I'm
Didn't
drinking
matter.
pop. Like I'm eating 5, 6 burgers at the dinner and all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at these guys like, why are you eating vegetables, man? You ain't at home. Your mom can't make you eat. Like, do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? We grown right now, but
Right.
we at practice and I'm not finishing practice the way I'm supposed to. Like I'm losing energy, and these dudes just going. I'm like, maybe it's something to this diet thing I need to start looking into. So I started following suit and drinking water and, eating right, cutting out the pop and all that. And I see myself getting stronger now and all that too. So,
Hmm.
uh, see, I went to Northern Iowa, stayed there a couple of years, but, again, so many great athletes and not Not that I couldn't have stayed and participated and played, but I decided that place wasn't really where I was going to grow and
Right.
reach the goals I wanted to reach as far as getting on the field and playing. Like it was a point in time. Again, I'm 5'10". At that time, I'm 205 pounds, 210, and they put me at tight end. Like they knew I should touch the field, but
Right.
they put me at tight end. And we had two tight ends at the time, coach, that was like 6'4", 6'5", and I'm like, where I fit in this? Like,
Right.
I don't see myself growing in that spot.
Hmm.
And no fault of the coaches or anything, but I didn't see how I was gonna grow in that. So
Right.
I kind of flipped the acronyms around. I went from UNI to NIU.
There you go.
So I transferred up and went to Northern Illinois University. And Coach Charlie Sadler was the head coach then, who also coached with Barry Switzer, Oklahoma.
Hmm.
Uh, so I was making phone calls, man, where I could fit in and play, and I got in contact with Coach Pittman, who's now the head coach at University of Arkansas.
Hmm.
Sam Pittman, great dude, man. So I talked to him. He was like, "Man, come up and visit." So I did that. This was the summer of 1994. Uh, Went up there and talked to them, and just I transferred to Northern Illinois. Uh, Not the most. I mean, we weren't winning games, or
Hmm.
anything like that, like we were in Northern Iowa. But the greatest environment with you talk about good teammates and all that, man, and just another brotherhood that I fit into. And that goes back to my story. Like I told you before, like I bounced around from place to place as a kid. So making that move and learning how to maneuver in that locker room, I wouldn't say it was easy, but I was comfortable with
Hmm.
that because it wasn't new to me. Like I've moved before, I've switched environments before. I had to learn how to switch things up and be a part of a program and a team. So going in that environment, I just know I have to prove myself on the football field.
Right.
I'm a one double A kid going up to Division One, the championship level or whatever it is now, FCS or FBS or whatever.
Hmm.
Going to that level now, I got to prove myself that I can play at this level. You know, so I'm a fullback going up, and they had some great fullbacks at the time: Dante Wharton, George Anthony, guys like that who were mentors. Man, like they taught me how to be a mentor. Like these guys are seniors. I'm this new kid coming in who
Hmm.
want to take their spot, and they're teaching me how to play the game. And it's like, man, like you don't get that from a lot of people.
Right.
Like you want to keep your job. You got this new kid coming in, even though I had the red shirt that year, but still, like they helped me out. And that was just awesome, man, to have great teammates like that. And that taught me my senior year at Northern, the same situation happened. Like I got these two fullbacks coming in who I got to help out because I want us to be successful, but I know they're coming for my spot at the same time.
Right.
So that goes back to that humbleness piece again. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to be humble enough to help these cats out, know they come from my spot and keep my job at the same time. You know, so I have great mentors like that, and again, Coach Shonard, have him as a coach to help teach us the game.
Hmm.
I can learn a lot from him, man. So yeah, so I went from University of Northern Iowa to Northern Illinois. I ended up starting at Northern Illinois for 2 years at running back. Had a couple opportunities after that to play ball afterwards, but things didn't shake out. So I decided to take my life in a different direction.
Coach, when you made that transition to go to a different direction after,
Right.
I know it was a point in time, and I remember us sitting in the locker room one day after a practice, and we were talking about how we got into coaching. And I remember you telling this story, but what was the point where you said in your mind, this is leading me toward coaching?
So it all started when I first graduated from college. Again, I thought I was going to be a player. I'm thinking, I'm going NFL. So I pour everything in that trying to go play pro ball. Uh, so I tried for like CFL teams, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I got an agent, thought I was going to play for the San Diego Chargers, but that didn't work out. Robert Chauncey, I'll just say that name. He don't know me either, but if he
Say
hears
it.
this
Put it right.
podcast, Robert Chauncey is the guy who San
Right.
Diego signed, and I ended up doing what I had to do. But so yeah, so I started working for the post office as a security guard. at the Bulk Mill Center in Forest Park, checking bags, man. I got a degree and I'm checking bags. So again, being humble, just doing what I got, married and
Right.
all that at the time. So then from that, I ended up pledging the greatest fraternity in the world, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Uh, and through my chapter, some brothers who helped me get a job with DCFS. So I did that for a while as a case manager. Uh, and that got kind of tiresome, what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, and overwhelming because things kept changing. I worked for
Right.
private agencies and all that. So it was like one day, man, I was like, if I'm gonna work, if I'm gonna do something and I gotta sacrifice, I gotta do something I love, So at one point in time, I became a part-time coach before some of this at St. Pat's at the freshman level, and I had no idea what I was doing, you know. Um, so I was running back coach, and like I said, Coach Shonar, I used some of his philosophy. I'm doing the same drills he was doing with us, but I didn't know why I was doing the drills. I was just doing them because I
Mm.
did,
Right.
and that's the wrong way to go,
Right.
right? Uh, so yeah, so I got into it that way first as a part-time guy, and I worked for DCFS for a while. Stopped coaching for a minute, but it was like, man, I got to get in something I love. So I took a step of faith. Went out and I called Coach Novak at the time, who took over for Coach Saller at Northern Illinois. Called Coach Novak, who's another inspiration in my life for a whole nother reason, right? So call him up. He was like, Anthony Griff, there's a spot opening up at North Park University. A guy who he knew was going to another position, but he knew that that spot was going to open. He was going to another place to coach somewhere else. He was like, I can make a phone call and see if I can get your interview. And he did that. So I ended up going to North Park and interviewing with the head coach there, Robin Cooper, who's had a litany of jobs before that, coaching at Springfield, Griffin, winning championships. Started a college program at McMurray College.
Mm-hmm.
So he coached Western Illinois University. Like he's been in the game for a while, right? So I go up there and I interview with him, uh, and it was internship position, right? Making $10,000. I got a wife and a kid, Coach Steve. You know what I'm saying?
A little
I
tight.
was I was making a little bit more than 10,000. I ain't gonna say how much. I was making a little bit more than that
Right.
doing what I was doing. So I had to take a pay cut, a huge pay cut, with no benefits too. Like
Mm-hmm.
no insurance, none of that. I got a wife and a kid at home. But it's like I'm gonna do this because I know I'm gonna be good at this. So I stepped out on faith and like God got me, you know. Uh, so I went and I accepted it. Didn't even tell my wife at the time. I'm saying after I got the job, I went home and told her. And
Right.
of
Right.
course, she wasn't too happy about that. So I got an earful about it, but I told her, let's be patient. We're gonna sacrifice for a minute, but it's gonna work out. Like I promise it's gonna work out. Not telling her that it's like men who've been doing this for years who are still seeking full-time coaching jobs,
Right.
Uh, but I knew it was gonna work out. Like I had faith in myself and my work ethic. And again, it's something I love to do. So he gave me the job. I started off as a linebacker coach there.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I played line. Last time I played linebacker coach was in high school. I don't know how to coach linebackers. So I went and I
So yeah.
got that Lou Tepper complete linebacking book and read that thing from front to back, you know. And Coach Coop was like, all right, before the season, we're going to do an in-house coaching clinic. And y'all got 30 minutes to get up here and teach us your position. So I read that book. I called one of the old linebacker coaches uh, from Northern Illinois and kind of talked to him for a minute too. I went up there, Coach Steve. I gave him the best 10-minute presentation of my life. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't quite 30,
Right.
but I gave him 10 minutes of all
10,
I had.
10 real good minutes.
10 really good minutes of coaching linebackers,
Okay.
Um, so that's kind of was my start from there. And what Coach Cooper did for us is like, he challenged us to be the best that we could be at that position. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he taught us how to reach out to other coaches. And then I found about these things called coaching clinics. which I never knew about at the time. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
I made sure you all know about these coaching clinics, right? The Glazer clinics and all that. I
Absolutely.
made sure we all went to those things so you can learn, right?
Mandatory. Mandatory.
Mandatory. We
Like
have to go.
I'll see you there, or you ain't coaching this week.
Right. That's right. We got to do that, right? Because we got to learn and you got to learn your profession so we can come back and help these kids.
Absolutely.
So I started going to coach clinics and then I started networking and I started becoming the American the College Football Coach Association. I volunteered to be on the registration committee, which is the best thing you can do. I started getting stuff from that. You know what I'm saying? Meeting new coaches and all those things because they got to come to the registration booth first.
Right.
I'm shaking hands and meeting all these coaches and all that through that. So all that was a blessing, man, to just be exposed to that, the AFCA convention, exposed to the Glazer clinics, and I became a sponge to start learning this whole craft. And I transformed from being a player to a coach. Like that's the difference. Because first I was a player who was coaching, an ex-player
Man,
who was coaching. You know what I'm saying? Coaching
man,
what I thought, you know, I was good at. You know what I'm saying? Like expecting kids to do the things that I did.
right.
And then
That
learning like that ain't everybody's skill set. They can't do the things that I did. I can't do the things that they do.
right.
Right. So I learned how to be a coach through that whole process.
That's a bar, coach. Like that honestly is a bar right there. When you learn how to be, I've met so many coaches, I know you have too, that are still the player trying to coach, right? And it's like your days are over. It's like your days are over. Yo, it ain't about you no more. So
Yeah.
it's like trying to get them to make that transition sometimes. So when you finally got into coaching, when was that when you made that transition and you started to see that like I'm no longer the player coach, I'm actually the coach. When
Right.
you made that transition, what do you feel like was like the first big lesson that you were able to give the first team that you were coaching?
Man, that's a good question because there's a lot of lessons that I hope I imparted on people. Uh,
I could be
I'll
biased and share my own, but I want to hear from your perspective, like what changed the perspective? Like what big lesson did you say after making this transition from player coach to
mm,
now understanding that I'm in that position now. Like I'm the one that's inspiring. I'm the one that now has to lead, right?
right, right.
What was that big thing that you felt like you left that first team that you were coaching?
I think like teaching the game, like to like not just the game of football, but the game within the game to like how to be successful and sustain a career in this. Like teaching organizational skills as far as me talking to coaches, right? Like don't just come to practice and not be ready for practice. Like have a game plan ready for practice. Like know what your drills are gonna be, so they can move fast pace. Because we want to play fast, we got to coach fast.
Right.
Learn how to use certain buzzwords so you're not wasting a lot of time on just having this long conversation during practice with a kid, right? So you want to create communication skills and those things also. So as a player, like you're just gonna go out and teach those drills, but as a coach, I gotta teach. Like you gotta be a teacher,
Yeah.
a teacher of the game. So you gotta learn a game in order to teach the game the right way and to find out where kids are at. Like you can't expect them to be at a certain spot. You gotta meet them where they're at. And then, slowly develop them into the player that they can be. So if anything, I think just teaching coaches how to be organized and all those things and uh, teaching players how to take coaching, and being respectful while we're doing it and
That's a big one.
assume positive intent. Because I coach a lot of different kids from different social economic backgrounds, and they grew up in different households and they take discipline all different ways,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some of them can't take the discipline certain ways. So you got, and I'm sure coaches who are going to listen to this know this too, but um, every kid is taught different ways. Like we want to treat kids the same way, and that's where they're at. You know what I'm saying? So I can maybe holler at one kid and scream at him and all that, which that was never really my thing anyway.
Right.
But some kids might need that motivation that way. You know, some kids you need to talk to and pull them to the side, like, man, I know you can do a little bit better, than this today. So, today was the day, but tomorrow we're gonna come back and get this the right way. You know what I'm saying? So just learning how to approach kids and reading kids and doing those things, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and just setting expectations for everybody. So having that laid out, like these are your responsibilities as a coach. These are your responsibility. If you're the wide receiver coach, this is what you do. You don't try to be the OC. OC is the OC. That's his job. You be the best wide receiver coach we got in the program right now. You know what I'm saying? If you're running back coach, this is what you do, right? When it's time for y'all to collaborate and talk, then y'all do that. You can give your opinion in when you ask for it, right?
Right.
But it's all that hierarchy too of leadership, which is another thing. So, like, learn how to be humble, you know what I'm saying,
Man.
and work your way to your turn. And something I think I've told y'all too, like the day you don't like what I'm doing as a head coach and you want to do something different, you can go get your program. Go run your program the way you want to run your program. And I've told y'all that before. Like, go run your program the way you want to run your program. But right now, as leader of this program, this is my vision. This is how I see things got to go. This is how we're going to treat kids. This is how I'm going to treat you. Hopefully, you learn some stuff from that. I'm going to expose you to a lot of different things. Make sure you meet a lot of different networking and meet a lot of different coaches and all that so you can gain more of your own philosophy. Uh, at the end of the day, I want like a growth mindset. I want everyone to
Mm-hmm.
grow into who they're going to be, whether that's from coaches to players and even myself. Watching you all coach, man, helped teach me a lot of things. You know what I'm saying too. Just seeing that passion from you all, like you bring you in as a receiver coach. You know what I'm saying? From day one, watching how the
Mm-hmm.
relationships you built with the kids, man. Having Willie Elam,
Yep.
one of the dogs, you know what I'm saying? And just watching you teach him how to be a better receiver. Inspired me to want to do better and organize things a lot better. And that goes across the board for all the coaches.
I cannot agree with you more because I think about those guys all the time. The Willies, the ABs,
Yep, Anthony Bell. I
the
was going to
meat
say
the
his name
meat
next.
the Meaches,
Meeches, yep.
yep. Like I
Mitchell
I
Morrow.
exactly moral. Yeah, I appreciate so much having the opportunity to work with them, and I appreciate more so you holding us accountable as coaches to make sure that we were prepared for them. Like no, this like coach ain't just saying this just to say this. Like if you didn't come to this OC meeting ready to go, it's a problem. Like we gonna have a conversation after this. Like
Yep.
luckily for me, I didn't have to have too many of them side conversations with Coach Griff on me not doing my part.
That's
But
right.
I
And
know
even with
that.
that too, Coach D, I'm sorry for cutting you
Oh
off.
yeah,
Even
go
with
ahead. No,
that,
no,
like
no,
giving you guys a space to coach,
man.
too, and be
Yes.
your own coach. You know what I'm saying? I think that's important too. Like I wasn't trying to micromanage you all. I gave you the expectations. We have to make sure the practice plan is right. You had your drills right. Now go do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
At the end of the season, we can talk about it then when we go through that whole process of me, the post interview and all that stuff afterwards, right?
Yep.
So yeah, just going and allowing you to coach and be free and not worry about me always looking over your back, even though I was, you know.
Well, I was a rookie coach that time. I was
Yeah,
expecting you to be there the
yeah,
entire
yeah,
time.
yeah. But and then giving you feedback when I needed to, but just allowing you all to be your own, be a coach and learn.
Yes. And I think that's why I think I enjoyed it the most because I don't think I would have gotten that experience if I worked for anybody else. If I was coaching under anybody else, I don't feel like I would have understood the game as a coach today like I understand it back then, right? Like the way that you coached us, the way that like again, when I say us, I mean again, you were coaching the coaches, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
so the way that you coached us was based in accountability. It was always it was always a fear But when I say that, it was never a fear in like, oh, Griffin, like come, come hellfire and brimstone down on us. It was a
Right.
fear of letting you down because like I didn't want to be unprepared because I saw how much prep work you were already putting in and the hours you were putting in. Again, we getting back at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night from some of these games that, these night games, and you still in the office. Like you still going over stuff. You still looking
Right.
at stuff. You still checking to make sure all the equipment's there. Like so tomorrow morning when we there at 6 o'clock in the morning,
Right. Ready
it's
to go.
ready. Right? We ready to go. So it was never a point where it was like, we just didn't want to disappoint. You know how much you put into this and your effort and your passion. It's like you want to meet that same expectation. And the cool part is that you doing that for us, we naturally did that for the kids. Like, and again, it just works full circle. So again, it's having that strong leader to help guide everybody and move everybody and making sure that everybody's rowing the boat in the same direction. That's
Mhm.
something that you did 1000% when you were on or off the field.
Yeah. And like that goes back to when I was a player. You know, I want to make sure that, I was doing this stuff for my teammates. You know what I'm saying? So to model certain behaviors and all those things, like you got to model that behavior to get that behavior out of people too, right?
Right.
Uh, and then just a personal thing, being at St. Joe's, knowing that you're a St. Joe's alum, knowing that the Coach Heslaw, Bill and Gil were St. Joe's alums, and then bringing in Pierre Walters, NFL player, another St. Joe's alum, having you all on the staff, and here I am, this St. Pat's guy coming into y'all program that y'all wore those colors for. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to make
Hmm.
sure I was also making y'all proud. Of the I got my hands on y'all program because this is y'all program. In the day, like yeah, I'm the head coach, but this is y'all program, and there's people out there that are Chargers that are looking at me how I'm running that program. And what's the
Right.
best way of doing that than having charges on your staff who can tell them Coach Griff is doing this stuff the right way, how it could have been when other coaches was here. Not to say coaches behind me before me did a bad job. They did the best they can do, I'm sure. But I want to make you all as alum who coached under me, and not even under me, you guys are next to me. You know what I'm saying? Well, we were colleagues. The guys who coached with me that were St. Joe's alum, that you guys are proud of the program that we were building. And eventually got to the place where, unfortunately Joe's closed, but it was becoming something. You know what I'm
Yeah, we
saying?
were
Like we
getting some.
saw
We were getting somewhere.
getting somewhere. And I forget, did you coach in that team that made the playoffs?
No, that was the year. That was the year that I transitioned out. That was that last year.
Right. But we built something to order for that to happen. And that's because we did the things the right way. We built those expectations for those kids and all that. So that's a group effort, man, that we all put together into that. You know what I'm saying? And that team, I know Joe's closed, but I talked to some people when it did that they still need to put that team in the Hall of Fame. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
100%.
That's
100%.
squads that needs to be recognized still to this day because they did an amazing thing to be the first ever team in St. Joe's history to make it to the playoffs. Like that's huge, man. Uh, that's a huge feat to have, and that's something that you all should be proud of because something that Coach Novak told us: if you stay, you'll be a champ, right? Even though I wasn't there for Northern Illinois when they started winning those games and beating the Alabamas and the Notre Dames and all that, like I stayed in that program. I'm a Husky. So whatever success they're having, I'm still feeling
You
that
you
success.
part of it.
You know what I'm saying? Like
1000%.
we're
Yep.
all a part of that success. No matter what other people say, we're a part of that success because we helped build that ground, man. We laid that foundation. And you all laid that foundation. I just want to make sure I build some solid structure on top of it to make sure it went the right way. And you all helped me do that. So I appreciate it. Thank you for that, being a part of that crew.
Coach, you gave us the opportunity right now. I mean, that was monumental to be a part of those teams. That was just is different when you get a chance to talk about, the kind of teams you want to coach, but when you get a chance to actually coach a team that you want to coach, that you want to be here, you like, I don't care what the scoreboard says. I want to be here. I want to be here with these kids. I want to be here with these coaches. Like you tend to want to be all in, and again, that comes from the leader. That 1,000% comes from you. So I
Yeah,
can't thank you enough, Coach.
appreciate it, man. No doubt. Those were
So
some good times, man. Those were some great times.
I
Even through
was
the losses and all that, some great times.
I was gonna ask. I know we're getting close to time right now, but I wanted to ask at Joe's, give me your best moment at Joe's.
It's my first year when that Frost-Off team won the conference championship. You know what I'm saying? So to have that, it's no something that was going to build on. To have those guys come up was great. You know what I'm saying? And then, even all the games, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just hanging out with you all, man, and coaching with the guys I got to coach with. Uh, like I said, the Heslaw brothers were amazing to coach with. Bill and Gil were awesome. Um, Even some of the environments with that I got to expose the kids to, like, you know, going to Mount Carmel and playing against them with our 15
Mm,
guys, you
exactly.
know,
Against an army.
against their own, you know what I'm saying? Uh, and kind of teach them through that, just taking them through those life experiences, man, and to let them know,
Hmm.
hey, this might be a hard time, but we're gonna come out the other end and we're gonna survive this thing. We're gonna learn from it and we're gonna be better from it. And we went to games after that and we competed, you know,
Man.
uh, after those games. You know what I'm saying? Games that, we might have lost, but we could have won, like all those things. But it was all those learning lessons, man. And, some of the conversion and creating the things we had to create in order to be a team, like the weight rooms and stuff that we had to piece
Turn the
together,
classroom right. We
right?
got a.
Turn the
Do we have a
classroom.
weight room in the hallway at one point?
Yeah, yeah, it was in the hallway one time we started off,
Yep.
So just working through those things, man, some of the hard times, the grind, what I'm saying, of working through those things and figuring out how to build a program in that spot. I think another thing that was good for me, a moment when I got the first interview I got with a newspaper, uh, and they were asking me, well, how does it feel to coach being a football coach at the basketball school? And Coach Pingator, rest in peace, greatest coach in the history of that place.
Yes,
And I was
sir.
like,
Yes,
who
sir.
told you that? Who told you this is a basketball school?
I remember that.
Don't you know there have been more NFL players that come out of St. Joe's than NBA players? I ain't got nothing against the NBA players out of St. Joe's, Isaiah Thomas and all. You don't get me wrong. Y'all the
Just saying.
goats.
Just
I'm
saying.
just saying, like, there was a Super Bowl champ that come out of St. Joe's. Andy Fredericks played for the '85 Chicago Bears. There was five guys that played in the NFL, including our man Pierre Walters. So there were three NBA players, but five NFL players come out of there. So just knowing that history and making sure
Hmm.
that that history was said the right way and the school was represented and the program was represented the right way, giving honor and homage and props to those guys that came before, you and other players, right? That put St. Joe's on the map, but didn't get quite the recognition they deserved. So I made sure they got that recognition too. That this ain't just a basketball school.
Yeah.
We got some football players come out of here now. you
Hmm.
know,
That's one thing I really appreciate it. And then, again, I heard it. I remember that. I remember you giving that
yeah,
having that conversation. I also remember you having a conversation with the Tribune, and they asked you about getting better. I think it was like right after this is I think it was after like Joliet. Was it Joliet? I know it was a significant deficit. Let's just say that. It was a
right, right.
significant deficit. And I remember you had said, again, it's not about the scoreboard. Again, it's about my boys getting 1% better. And today they
That's right.
showed they got 1% better.
That's right.
And that right there, coming off the field and shaking hands with the other coaches, and we even had a whole bunch of coaches that we would shake hands with. This is one of the first times that I've shook an opposing coach's hand, and he said, you almost had us on the run. And I'm like looking at the scoreboard, like, no way we had like, yeah, he's like, the scoreboard don't say it. He was like, but your boys are getting good. And
Yeah.
that right there, that did everything for me. Like, I was gonna walk on that bus, like, man, like, I remember being in pads with the same scoreboard, right? Like, now
Right.
I'm gonna go on this bus as a coach, but now again, the mindset is shifted because now it's like you said, it's about these kids getting better. And I don't
Right.
want them to hang their heads because they literally left it all on the field. Every game that they went out there, they left it all out on the field. And they did it because they had coaches that actually believed that they could do it,
Right.
regardless of what the scoreboard said. So
And that's what it's all about, man. Getting better each day. Each rep you take it important, make it important to you. And that comes from the coaches making sure they took those reps and made it important to them and get
facts.
1% better all the time. You know what I'm saying? And just continue to build on that. So you can go into those environments like a St. Rita where it's
Yep.
totally outnumbered. But the first half don't look like it's supposed to look. Like I remember that St. Rita game. I think it was something like 21-7 at
Yep.
halftime.
Yep.
And they got coaches over there that's been coaching for 50 years. And they got, 50, 60 players on the sideline. We got 17 boys on the sideline. And it's 21-7. Like that speaks a lot. We just
That's
ran out of gas.
volumes. Yep.
We ran out of gas. And so and that's a tribute to what we put in as a staff, man, to get every little bit we could out of those coaches, out of those players. So all that stuff, man, those are great memories, that I'll go back on to know that we gave everything we could to that program, man. And it was a great time. I enjoyed my time.
Facts. Facts. You got some other players that are now former players that are now coaching right now.
Yeah.
So that says a lot. And the cool part is that I got one of them that's gonna be on the pod soon.
Okay.
So that's coming soon. So
Okay. All
I'm
right.
Meech, I'm holding you to the fire, bro. You
I've
coming.
seen it. I hit him up too. Like your receiver coach now doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, meet you tomorrow, man. Doing good
Absolutely.
things.
Definitely, definitely.
I
We
heard I
definitely
heard Chris Reed was trying to jump into it. I don't know if he did or not.
If he did,
Um,
he definitely getting a call too, for sure. He definitely getting a call too. Anybody,
yeah,
if y'all coach, if y'all played under Coach Griff and under me, know that you're gonna get the knock. Okay, just know
expect the
you're gonna get
call.
the knock. Right, you're gonna get the call.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Coach Griff, can you give for anybody out there that is thinking about getting into coaching, playing football right now, thinking about getting into coaching, or playing any sport for that matter, and wants to get into coaching, what advice would you give them so that they can start moving toward their passion?
I say networking is the most important thing, right? Getting out, talking to your old head coaches, learning their past and their history and how they went through it. Going out, getting being in a zone, a place you're not comfortable with, stepping outside your comfort zone and just meeting people and talking to coaches, right? Find these coaching clinics, going and sitting down at the coaching clinics and learning the game, learn how
Hmm.
to teach the game, right? Uh, Again, being humble and sitting back and just listening to some of the stories that coaches have. So, again, you're gonna make your mistakes, but if you listen to some of these coaches who've been doing this for a while, uh, they'll give you a lot of gems you can pick up on. And
Hmm.
then don't make their philosophy yours, but take their philosophy and make it your own. You know what I'm saying? And then finding out, have a goal. Like once I start getting into it and I realized I wanted to be a head coach, I had to learn how to become a head coach. By like I told you before, my first ever job I interviewed for, I went and talked to a guy and was learning, well, what do I do in an interview? He was like, well, write on a sheet of paper your philosophy and you're good. So I went to interview with one sheet of paper with my philosophy on it and objectives. And I leave that interview. I'm like, all right, I'm good. And I seen the guy come behind me with a suitcase, you know,
It's like, oops.
with his playbook in it and all,
Right.
his coach philosophy, his practice plans, his recruiting plans, all this stuff. I'm like, oh wait, that's how you do it. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
uh, just make sure you're prepared for the moment, whatever that moment is. Whether that's coming in being a freshman, running back coach, be prepared for that moment. You know what I'm saying? whether it's coming in being a defense coordinator on the varsity, be prepared for that moment. So go out and study, read books. Anything you could like. Once I became a head coach, I stopped reading football stuff. Like I
Hmm.
started looking at leadership books, whatever that is. You know what I'm saying? Like Legacy, a book about the All Blacks, uh, rugby team and how they went through adversity. I just started reading culture and strategy books, things like that, how to build a culture, because
Hmm.
as a head coach, that's what you're doing. You're building a culture. You have stuff to do with X's and O's, but I really want to rely on my coaches to do that. Why I built the culture of the program. So again, having a goal and learning how to get those goals and just doing the best job you can do at whatever position it is you're coming into, doing the best job you do at that position, and people will recognize that work that you're putting in, and from there, sky's the limit.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Again, coach, I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. Again, from the bottom of my heart, from giving me the opportunity to step foot on the field with you, to
Yeah.
coach on the sidelines with you, is you have no idea the magnitude that you've had on my life to move me in this direction. Again, I've been blessed to be able to work with a lot of people, and a big portion of it is because of the opportunity that you gave me. So again, thank you.
Hey, you're welcome, man. I appreciate it, man. And thank you for even coming out and wanting to coach with me. You know what I'm saying? Uh, so I
It's St. Joe's,
appreciate
bro.
that,
We
man.
we gonna go
St.
turn down the red
Joe's.
and white.
Charge of pride, baby. Charge of pride all
You
day.
know
You
it. You
know.
know it.
So yeah, I definitely appreciate you inviting me on the podcast, man. Like I know we were supposed to do this earlier on, and life happens and things, and health and all those things go on. But definitely, man. And appreciate. I look forward to checking you out and making sure other people know about this podcast, man, so you can get those likes up and get to where you deserve, man. Because you're a hardworking dude, humble guy, great father, great husband, and all those things. So people need to hear this and see what you're doing. Shine a light on this coaching thing, but on life in general, man. So I appreciate
Absolutely.
what you're doing.
That's one of the reasons why the life is underlined, right?
There you
Like
go. There you
again,
go.
it's coaching comes in all aspects, right? Like so from the boardroom to the classroom, we try to do it all. So again, if you like what you heard, smack that like and subscribe button if you want to hear more from your Coach Life fam. Until the next time, family, stay positive, my friends.
Peace.